what excites you about the space now or keeps you going besides just more sales? Because you've been in it so long.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing that excites me, man, is the success stories. Like, that's the thing that gets me excited, right? Hearing. So, for example, I had a client message me on Voxer earlier today, and she was like, I did $1 million day. And that's been her biggest goal. $1 million
day. What's good, world? Welcome back to the Tuned In with Tony podcast. And I've got a super special guest on the show today, especially when it comes to client attraction and leads and really scaling your offer. He goes by the name of Marquel Russell of Client Attraction University.
Absolutely.
One of the first people I really saw killing it in the digital space before it was so popular. So it's an honor to have you on the show.
Appreciate
I personally have a bunch of questions to ask you that I know the audience would love to hear from you as well. So welcome to the show, my guy.
I'm glad to be here, man. I'm glad to be here.
Definitely. So the first thing that I want to ask you is just what exactly is Client Attraction University?
So Client Attraction University is basically, we created a proprietary system, and it's basically for me learning how to do it myself, of like, how do you take somebody from being a complete stranger to them actually pulling out their money to pay you. So a lot of people ask me, Marco, how do I find people that'll pay me? And I typically say, that's really the wrong question. You actually want to become findable, and you want to attract people. So instead of you being the hunter, like most business owners, they're hunting people down. They're knocking on doors. They're hustling. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I get it. But it's like they're hunting. When you're doing client attraction, you become you go from being the hunter to being hunted. So people start reaching you out, seeking you out to pay you. So you magnetically attract the ideal people you want while repelling the people that you don't want.
Got you. So attracting and not chasing.
Exactly. 100%.
Because most of the time you're right. Like, let's say, for instance, we're both in digital marketing, and then people think that it's either just the funnel or that they can just run ads and then that's going to work. Like, for instance, I saw a client, really a friend today. He said, can you review this and let me know if it's cool? Or when would you expect to first start seeing your first sales from Facebook ads? First thing I noticed was he was leading them directly to the course page. And I was like, you're kind of just asking them to swipe their card, but you got to think that's not like the easiest way. You wouldn't start a relationship like that, right?
Exactly.
So what are some of like the first things that you see when someone comes to work with you that they're probably doing wrong by accident?
So I think the biggest thing that I see is people messaging is like way too broad. So they may say, I help people do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, well, who is people? And they're like, well, I can help anybody. And I'm like, well, that's a huge mistake, because a small business owner doesn't really have the budget to target anybody. Like Coca-Cola, they got $1 billion budgets. Nike got $1 billion budgets. They can target anybody. But as a small business owner, it's like you got to be more streamlined of who you're going to actually speak to. So I think that's the biggest thing that I see people make, especially when it comes to ads. It's like they're like, I'm going to use ads and I'm going to target anybody. It's like, that's a huge mistake. And a lot of people think it's the targeting. I'm like, the targeting is part of it, but it's the messaging that's really going to pull the people that you want. So a lot of times this stuff is way off base. And I think that's the biggest thing that causes some issues.
Definitely, because even like you said, you learned a lot of this by doing it yourself. For me, when I started doing funnels for people, I started with like a lot of high level type clients, right? And when I mean high level, not the software, but people that are making 6-7 figures. So when I started doing my own offer, the first thing that I saw was my messaging was off, and I was attracting the wrong client, right? So to give the audience an example, I was running ads and I said, hey, if you want to increase your sales and want more leads, you need a funnel. Well, my service is better for people that are already rocking and rolling.
Exactly.
But is it the audience's fault that I was getting the wrong people? Because I asked them, do you want more sales and more leads? That's everybody. So what I started noticing that I had to do in my own offer was say, hey, are you a business coach making over $30,000 a month? Last year we were able to produce 5 2 Comma Club Award winners. So now I'm speaking that language. And those simple tweaks is what really changes it up for an offer.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I work with a great example. I was speaking with a client. I was working with a client one time, and she helps people with their books. But her messaging was, she came and she was like, hey, I'm attracting a lot of broke clients. So I'm like, well, let's look at the messaging. And then basically said, I help you go from 0 to 6 figures with your book. And I'm like, well, the reason you're attracting people who don't got no money is because you're speaking to people who are at 0. So she made that tweak, and then it was a total game changer for her.
Got you. So if you listen to what he just said, the reason why they weren't making money is because they're speaking to people at 0. So that's something you have to change. Another tip that I heard from was Myron Golden, right? What he said is, if you're trying to like come up in the game, find a person that makes a lot of money that has a problem, and then figure out a solution to provide them that's not a lot of money to them, but is a lot of money to you.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to do as entrepreneurs when we're trying to attract that person that can get us there. Because you're right. If we are attracting all those people at the low level, they can't really help us get there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
100%.
But just to backtrack a little bit, your story, which is public and is very like extensive, like I just want to know how you became the Marquell Russell that we know, you know? And I see that like you got the gold teeth. It's in the story that you used to like dropped out of high school, sold drugs, but now you're very educated. You're helping people. How did you do that?
Man, it's crazy, man. Because like you said, I dropped out of high school, like the area when I was just telling you, like I used to run around. It's crazy. So I always been entrepreneurial. I just use it in the wrong way. So, you know, so I sold drugs. I got into club promotions, doing artist management, things of that nature. And I got introduced to network marketing. You familiar with network marketing?
Like MLM?
MLM. So I got introduced to that first. I actually was in the club one night and got introduced to MLM. So then I got invited to this event. I went to this event. They broke this whole thing. Now it was video phone technology. And I jumped in. It was $500 to get started. I paid for me to get in, halfway for my brother to get in. And that, you know, they typically in MLM, they're teaching you go speak to your friends and family, do home and hotel parties. Like where I'm from and the crew I grew up with, they not really coming to a home and hotel party. And I ain't really gonna bring my people to your crib either because I run with a different crew, right?
Right.
So I'm like, I don't want to be in the middle of no stuff because I'm like, I'm bringing them to y'all MLM meeting, y'all talking about all this money y'all getting. Even if y'all ain't getting it, because most of them ain't really getting it.
Right.
My people ain't gonna hear that. They gonna double back. So it's like, I don't really want to do that. So that led me into direct response marketing. Somebody on my team actually sent me a video series of like how to build your network marketing business without home and hotel parties. It's called Magnetic Sponsoring. So I was like, this is fascinating. So I watched the 4 videos. Mind you, I'm still like in the streets part-time. I'm trying to figure this MLM up stuff out in my downtime, right?
Right.
So I was like, this is crazy. So it was breaking the stuff down. And I'm like, man, these white, and at this time, this guy said he had got to like 25 million or something like that. Yeah. I'm like, man, these white boys getting all this money.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can buy my ebook for $37.
Right.
I'm like, what? So I had a prepaid card from when I joined the network marketing thing.
Okay.
So I had to go load my card up again. So I came back and bought that. I read the sales letter. I didn't know it was a sales letter at the time.
Right.
Now, of course, we know it's a sales letter.
Right.
So I read it a few times. I ended up buying it. And then it brought me to another page like, hey, you know, get this thing.
Right.
So I'm like, man, I only put like $40 on my card. So I had to go load my card up again, get back to that page. And I'm like, I'm going through a funnel. Like I ain't know what's going on, but I'm buying stuff. And I'm like, man, these white boys getting all this money. They're going to teach me how to do it for a couple $100. Like I'm in. So that would led me into this. I didn't know this was direct response marketing, but I just started buying more stuff because I was fascinated with the concept.
What year was this?
This was probably, so it's 2023 right now. This was probably 2011-ish.
See, I knew you've been in the game for a minute.
Yeah, this was probably like 2011-ish, right? Yeah. So that's what introduced me to all this, and I was like, man, this is crazy. So so I started buying stuff. You know, that's when buying stuff, but I ain't implementing nothing because in my mind, like, you know, they say what knowledge is power. So I'm like, the more knowledge I consume, the more power. But we all know that's not true. It's the implementation of the knowledge is where the game changer is.
Right.
But it took me a minute to go that. So I transitioned from the streets because I ended up getting locked up for a warrant. Got out. I was like, I'm gonna go all in on this business stuff.
Right.
So I started buying more courses. One implementing thing. I got this one course. It came with a coaching call. And Buddy told me that he was like, just pick one thing. Don't try to learn copyright. Don't try to learn social media. Don't try to learn everything. Pick one thing.
Right.
My thing was creating content. So he was like, create a piece of content every day for the next 90 days. So I was like, bet. So during this time, I'm still learning direct response marketing. And what I found was that people would start asking me to coach them after they saw what I was doing because I used what I was learning to grow my network marketing business. And people started wanting to know. So I created some courses because I saw that was other people was doing. And then people wanted me to coach them. I didn't know coaching was a thing.
This was still 2011?
This was probably around 2015-ish at this point, probably, right? 2014, 15.
Okay. To jump in, what was the coaching space like then? Because I got in around 2020. And that was post-pandemic when the digital era really boomed.
So you got in like 2020?
Yes.
So back then, I didn't even know coaching was a thing.
Yeah.
Right? People were just asking me to coach them, but I didn't know it was a thing. I ran across this life coaching certification. I ended up buying that and going through that and getting that. But I didn't really know coaching was a thing. Like nowadays, like everybody and their mom a coach, right?
Right.
But it's like, I didn't know it. So when I start coaching people, charge $100, $200, I create a coaching program for $300 a month. right? And then I was like, I wanted people to pay $500 a month, and I increased it to $500 a month. And then it wasn't until 2017-ish where I started learning about high ticket, right? Like, so I'm like, man, I'm already coaching people, but I just ain't charging them enough. So I started increasing my prices, and I was like, oh, it's on now. Right. So my thing, my thing that I focused on was showing people how to get leads. Right. Because I saw that was the biggest challenge people was having, like how to get leads. And that's why most businesses fail. So I went all in on like lead generation.
Got you. And just to open up when we talk about exactly lead generation, I feel like my experience is so just focused on Facebook ads, right? What are other ways that people can really work to just get leads? Or is that just the main source that people should practice?
Man, it's a million different ways to get leads, right? So you got Facebook ads. That's one of my favorites because it's like it's relatively simple to do, and I don't think any other platform like is as dynamic when it comes to like targeting and sophistication and stuff like that, right? But of course, content is a great way to generate leads if you do it right. Podcasting can be a great way to generate leads, but to be honest with you, I always recommend if somebody, especially if they're just getting into this, I always recommend like one thing. Just pick one thing.
So you don't just blow your budget trying to have 10% in everything.
Just pick one thing. So if it's going to be Facebook ads, so mine was content creation. I was creating a piece of content, but it's slower, right? Because it's a long-term play. Ads, you can make it happen faster.
Got you. So then what would you advise to somebody watching or one of your clients like for that lead to go? Because they see the Facebook ad or they see the piece of content. What happens next?
So I typically recommend they go from a piece of content to some kind of free giveaway, right? Okay. So a lead magnet. We call it a piece of money content, right? So it's like a case study video. They go opt in for that. So like, for example, let's say somebody's teaching fitness. Yeah. So they may say, hey, in this video, I'm going to show you how to, I'm going to show you this one thing that you may be doing wrong in the gym that could hurt your back. So they're showing them like one posture. And they say, hey, look, if you're looking to get shredded, I actually got a 7-minute workout that you can do every day without going to the gym, without blah, blah. You can go get it for free. Go to 7minuteworkout.com. So they go to 7minuteworkout.com. They access the video. They enter their name, email, and phone number, get the video. Now, and they're like, hey, in this video, I'm going to show you the 7-minute workout. They teach them the 7-minute workout. And they're like, hey, look, you probably need a customized game plan based on your goals. You're going to need a meal plan. You're going to need this. So let's schedule a call, hop on the phone so we can map out what a custom game plan would look like for you. Gotcha. And then they have them book a call and then they just rinse and repeat that same process.
Got you. So it sounds like, I don't know if I'm in my funnel mind right now, right? I don't know if this is in the middle. You're probably going to do a free bait, which would be like a lead magnet ebook or something like a video, right? Do you do the video sales letter in the middle to warm them up, or where do you take them after they opt in?
So great question. So we go landing page, free video reviews, a 7-minute workout to blah, 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 blah. They enter their name, email, and phone number right there. Right. And then on the next page, it's like, hey, congratulations on getting access to this video. In this video, I'm going to show you my 7-minute workout that shows you blah, blah, blah.
So basically, it is like a video sales letter.
Yeah, it's like video sales letter or case study, because they can literally be on, some people will use like a slideshow type thing. Yeah. But I typically recommend, when possible, to be on video, especially with something like a 7-minute workout. Right. Because you're literally going to show them like the workout. So if you can be on video, you're cool with being on video. So it'll be a video, you teaching them, and then from there, then you lead them to the next step.
Got you. And you usually like doing, because I remember Justin had told me, he was like, yo, you should try this, because Marquel only does book a call webinars. Yeah. You don't even sell anything on the webinar, right?
Nope. We just do straight content. Boom, 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 boom. Really super high value. Got and then it's like, hey, you know, if you want me to help you implement this, go schedule a call.
Well, that's what I like, because I feel like in my personal system that I set up for myself, no matter what door you come in through, it's literally going to be a book a call at the end. So that may be mini chat, LinkedIn, Facebook ads. It's always trying to get you on book a call. Yeah. So the next question that I have for you, which other people may have or myself has, is, do you work with clients that don't have traction already? Because that's kind of the hard part that I'm seeing. I'm so used to working with, I'm more so used to scaling. Yeah. That working with a new client kind of is like, dang, there's a big pool of these people, but I don't know what I can do.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a mixture. So some individuals come to us that already got crazy momentum. So we help them scale and ramp it up. And then in many cases, because once we fix the client thing, now you got to build team, now you got to build operations in place and leadership and all that. So we help them with that type of stuff, like on the back end. So we don't really talk about a lot of that on the front end. because most people ain't ready for it.
Right.
But to answer your question though, it's like if somebody is a coach or a consultant or they sell a premium price service and they want more clients, boom, we got them. Yeah. Now we do work with individuals who may not be necessarily coaching just yet, but they have some expertise. So for example, I got a client named Wes. He was a teacher, special ed teacher, but he did like government contracting on the side.
Okay.
So he wanted to start teaching people. He saw me speak at Black Equity Con. He wanted to start teaching people how to do government contracting. Brand new, never created a course, wasn't familiar with this stuff. So I helped him. We helped him put his thing together. And I think he's doing like $60,000 a month or something like that. But he wasn't coaching, but he had expertise. So our biggest requirement is typically you have some expertise that can actually help people. And then we can help you package it up, turn it into a program, create marketing for it, put the systems in place, all that good stuff.
Is there like a monthly revenue requirement that you would like for them to be at that makes sense?
It depends, right? I'm looking more so for like commitment level.
Gotcha.
Right. So it's not
like
necessarily.
They got the heart for it.
Yeah, exactly. Because like somebody can be at 34. I don't know if you experienced this before, but somebody can be at 30, 40, 50,000 a month. So income is there, but they're not hard headed, but they feel like they know everything already. So they can be harder to coach. Yeah. Because they feel like, well, I know such and such. So I heard about this. Well, I know this already. Well, I got this. So it can be a challenge sometimes. And then sometimes you got those who are there, but they're still hungry and they're ready for growth. So it's kind of like a balance in that.
Got you. So another thing of just scaling your business, because like with me running my own offer, not only have I been able to scale other people's offers, I've now learned all the hardships of scaling an offer. What is your highest priced offer? And I kind of want to go from like how you got there.
So I would say my highest price offer is $100,000.
$100,000.
Yeah.
And you've charged somebody $100,000.
So yeah. I only sold like one of them, but that's
Got you.
But it's like
done it.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do you get to the point? Because what I learned from as I started growing through business, right, was I remember when I used to be nervous to charge somebody $10,000. Yeah. Last week we sold a $10,000 and a 12.5 package, and then it's just like people will actually pay if they see the values there.
Absolutely.
And that's what's crazy. So, but to see how you got up to there, like if you got $100,000 offer, you probably got a $50,000
for sure,
offer, right?
100%.
What was it like just managing that? Because if someone paid that amount of money, the expectations that come along with it. What is that like? Just,
So to be honest with you, man, it's like what I found. So the first time I sold a $50,000 package, right? This is several years ago. And it was so not easy. It was kind of like, he told me this is what he wanted. I mapped it all out. I was like, okay, here's what we can do. And I'd never charged nobody this before, right? And I was like, we can do all of it. It's gonna be $50,000. And he was like, all right, Monday come by the office and get the check.
Right.
So and I was like, okay,
dang,
did I undercharge? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think the biggest thing was like, I invested myself at a high level. So I think that makes it easy.
Right.
Also, when people pay premium prices, while most people may think the requirements or the expectations are higher, it's actually not. People want to pay you higher prices simply because they want to get to where they're going faster. So some people may think, all right, well, if you charge $30,000, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to have your phone number, you got to be able to answer the call whenever you call you got to have all this different type of stuff. But in reality, they don't. They're just like, okay,
right.
I want this, and the third. So I give you a basic example. So you can buy a book that's 300 pages,
right,
for $20, right. Now, it's somebody if somebody's like, look, I just want that one page,
right,
that's going to help me get what I need to go without reading this 300-page book. And somebody pay you $3,000 for that one page.
That's wild when you think about it.
You know what I'm saying? Because people buy based on speed, right? So
Right.
they like, okay, how fast can you help me? Boom.
I like that. Yeah, even in Alex Hormozy's books, he always talks about how like speed, and then the quote, success loves speed, for sure. So what would you say that your unique selling proposition is? Because for instance, you and I were having a conversation like, I build funnels for people and run ads. When you had Marcus Rozier on here, he helps with digital offers. What's your unique selling proposition?
So I would say what makes us unique is, so one thing that makes us super unique is our amount of success stories. So like to date, we got $1 billion in client success stories. Like I tell people,
just in revenue your clients have generated.
100%. I always tell people like we got a page called The Wall of Proof.
Dang.
Right. Somebody go to wallofproof.com. It's endless. It's like,
dang, that's crazy.
It's insane. So it's like I tell people like, I posted one day. I was like, hey, if y'all want to do a versus, We can do a success story versus.
Yeah.
I was like, tag anybody who you think can compete with the amount of success stories we got. We need to go pound for pound for pound. But like nobody can compete with how many success stories that we got.
Right.
So that's the thing that differentiates.
You're like, I got the proof. So anyone that wants to check me, go to the website.
Go to the website.
It's right there.
It's like, it's undeniable. So people be like, well, I'm looking at, some people that come to us and they be like, all right, I'm looking at you or such and such. And I'm like, all right, well, just go work with them because you're obviously not clear on like what we do yet. Once you check out what we do and then boom, boom. And I'm like, and typically the person they're going to go work with is a client or they've been a client before or they learned from one of our clients. So it's still in the lineage. So it ain't that big of a deal.
Is your industry mainly just towards people in the coaching space or do you do physical space too? Like who do you go for?
So we don't do physical. We mainly go like coaches, consultants, or like people who sell premium price services. So they're like an agency and they want to get more clients, or we've worked with attorneys. So people who sell like their client is worth at least $3,000 to $10,000 or more. So we don't do like physical products or anything like that.
That's what I was thinking too. Cause like of course, like you probably do too. People say like, can you help me scale my gym or my salon or my this? What do you think it is about physical that these systems don't perfectly fit in?
So I think, it depends, right? So I worked with some trainers before, right? And the first thing we did was increase his price. So I can do that. But if they just want to charge like $99 a month, the average person sticks around 3 months. Typically the reason we won't bring them in because it's going to take them longer to get an ROI.
And they won't be profitable.
Yeah, I would rather they charge a premium price, right? Or be willing to charge a premium price so that way they can ROI faster on our investment. Yeah. Now everything else is all profitable. But if they want to get like, they do hair and it's $100 per client, it's tougher to ROI on what you invested in us first and foremost. And then when it comes to like, we tie ads into the mix. Now, how do we get you an ROI when it comes like to your ads? Got you.
Yeah. What did you see when you were growing your business? And this is what I'm seeing now because I'm still feel like I'm still new in the game, even though I've got some good clients. Right. Like in my business, I see the difference from when people think that it's just the funnel or just the ads, but how much of a difference it means when you have like the setters following up with people. Yeah. Because I remember when I was funnel hacking you before, I was like, oh, I've seen this guy all over Instagram. Let me just see what's up. Bruh, I got so many phone calls. They were on it. Yeah. So like, what was your journey like when you went from just like, I'm kind of like trapping this out to like, oh, let's start adding people and you started seeing growth. What was that like?
So I think the biggest thing for me, bro, was like, I moved more from this is an online business, right, to like this is an actual company. Yeah. And it took several years for me to realize like, man, I'm running an actual company, not an online business. So this is no different than a Fortune 500 situation. So I had to just shift my mentality. I'm like, okay, I'm running an actual company. That's number one. Number two, I had to shift from me being an entrepreneur that does everything to me actually being a business owner. Right. And then moving from a standpoint of like me as an entrepreneur, like my output determines the output of the company. Gotcha. But as an owner, right. The output of the team is the output of the company. Gotcha. So I had to shift mentally because like as entrepreneurs, when we're first starting and building, like all of our identity is into what we do, like the sales calls or the marketing or videos or whatever. But then you got to shift from that because now you got to allow other people to come in and do those specific things. And that was like a whole journey figuring that out.
That makes sense. And then another thing that I was going to ask too was like, who are like some of the big names? Because haven't you like, don't you know Dan Henry and them?
Yeah. Well, I don't know him personally, but I know of him.
Know of him for sure. Like with you being an MLM, right? Do you feel like some of those tactics have like poured over? Because I see you still do the live events and they don't even have to be like big rooms. Yeah. But I know that comes from like MLM.
For sure.
Know what I'm saying?
For sure. So I think one of the things that really, a couple of things you can take from MLM that I took from MLM. Because a lot of people have a negative connotation with MLM. Yeah. MLM changed my life. Like it got me out the streets.
Obviously Facebook ads do because it always says no MLM. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. So that got me out of the streets. The biggest thing I got from MLM was personal development. Because that's what introduced me to Jim Rohn and Les Brown and Miles Monroe. And me being introduced to Miles Monroe would end up getting me back into church, like we were talking about earlier, right? Right. So that was the big trend. I didn't make a ton of money there. Yeah. I was a top number one recruiter in companies and stuff like that, but the money don't really add up. Yeah. However, the personal development was the game changer for me. And then also developing culture.
Got you.
Is like, that's the
leadership,
developing
teams,
leadership, culture,
that.
Team, all that is. That's why they do their big conferences like every 90 days.
Yeah.
Because they know people need that reinvigoration like every 90 days. So that's why they do those specific things.
Yeah, I feel like people who are in MLM do make a good transition when they want to do the coaching for that exact reason. Sure. For people watching who are into building like their own agency or SMMA, myself, when you start to scale, most of the time we understand that people are buying us, right? Like when I've heard people that worked with you, they say, oh yeah, I work with Marquell. That's what they say. How do you keep yourself present, but obviously you don't have the capacity to really be on everyone's project? Yeah. So giving advice to people who are building agencies and companies, how do you manage that part?
So I think the biggest way you do it is like you first of all, it goes back to culture, right? So it's like, what is the culture that you're developing? And then you like develop the system. Right. Because now you got it, when it comes to the marketing, one of the things you got to do is stop making the marketing about you and make it about the system. Gotcha. So like, for example, when I first got going, everything was Marquell Russell. So it was marquellrussell.com. Go to marquellrussell.com, blah, blah. So everything was Marquell Russell. Then we shifted it to Client Attraction University. So now it's Client Attraction University. It's the system. Yeah. I'm just a spokesperson for the company. Got you. So just like Richard Branson, he has Virgin Mobile, Virgin this, Virgin that. When you go to Virgin Airlines, he ain't gonna be there. Right. But it's like he is a spokesperson, for the company. So it's like now it's about the system. It's not about Marquell.
Yep, exactly. Even Russell Brunson, because that's what I thought you was talking about at first. But yeah, so it's like the system. So just to stay on that part, because I know, like, I feel like I'm in like the transition, 1 foot in of being Tony, and then 1 foot in of trying to be my agency, right? And what I'm seeing is people are like, oh, I thought you were going to be on the call. You know what I mean? Did you have any like turbulence during that time? You know what I mean?
I did. So it's not super often, but some people will. And sometimes it's just like giving people context. So it's like, hey, do you want me to be on all the calls? Yeah. And do you want me to be doing everything? Or do you want me to be making sure that you actually get the deliverables at a really high level? Exactly. That you decided you wanted. What's most important for you? Is it more important for me to be on all the calls with you? Yeah. Or is it more important for you to be able to get this thing in a timely fashion at a world-class level? If you want that, my highest value is leading the team and being like the chief strategist to make sure this come together, not being hands-on and on all the calls. So that's why we got a whole team to make this happen. Got you. So it's like when you go to a high-end restaurant, right, you've heard about the chef. Right. He's there, but you want him to like sit you too.
You right.
You know what I'm saying? He got to be at the front door, bring you in, sit you, bring you bread.
He's making sure your food tastes like what everyone's been talking about.
Exactly. You see, like you want him to do all this? No, it don't work like that.
Right. So since we have a lot of like coaches and entrepreneurs that look at this, what was it like when you got to that point of building out your sales team? Because that's what I feel like I'm going through. Yeah. And to see them, they closed something, I didn't have to do it. Yeah. What was that like for you?
So it was when the first time somebody closed something without me being there, it was a game changer. I was like, okay, this is it. This is it. Now, as you begin to grow and scale the sales team, then it's all different types of challenges that come with that. Because if you got strong closers, they come with different personalities. Right. So it's managing that. Then it's like bringing people in to manage the sales team. So it's things that come with that. So, but it's hands down probably one of the easiest and best ways to sell premium price offers. Yeah, you can do events and things of that nature as well. Yeah. But it's a game changer, but it's just a matter of like managing it, leading it, in the right way.
Got you. 100%. Yeah, that's really good because like when you think about building a sales team, one thing you did say is their personalities. Yeah. Because right now, building a sales team, bringing on a sales manager, you're like, are they gonna mess up the culture? Because like you're probably cool, you know what I'm saying? Yep. But then you don't want like this sales manager to come in and mess your culture up. Yep. But then what I may be hearing is that like the top salesperson may have a big ego. Yep. All that stuff going on too.
All that. So it's a lot that goes with it.
Would you hire a sales team before like operations manager for you personally? Like Because I think a lot of people look at it like I can keep fulfilling and building. I'm just trying to figure out what's the most important when someone's building out their business.
So typically you want to, I think your most important hire is like executive assistant.
Right.
Like you may or may not be surprised how many people I speak to, they may be doing 6 or even 7 figures and they don't even have like an executive assistant. Right. So I think that's the most important hire. Right. And then typically what I work with clients on, sometimes that executive assistant could end up being like your operations director who kind of runs the operations. That what happened with us. So like she came on initially as a VA, but as my executive director, my executive assistant, but now she's like the operations director, right? So I think you get that.
Local or overseas?
She's overseas actually.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you start with, I think you start with getting like customer support, client support, that type of stuff off first.
Yeah.
Because sales calls is like, that's your highest leverage stuff is going to generate you the most money.
Right.
Most people try to get that off their plate first because they don't want to do it.
Right.
But it's like, that's your highest leverage stuff, right?
Right.
So you typically going to do hiring of the sales team later on. I even recommend typically when you get to $30,000, $50,000 a month consistently, then start bringing in some people to do the sales.
Got you. I think one thing that was good too is, as the coach, taking your own sales calls at the beginning.
Absolutely.
And at first you're like, I don't want to do that. But I know if I didn't take my sales calls first, I would have probably been a terrible sales manager. The
100%.
reason why is because if I'm coming from this hot pool of strong referrals and then I instantly bring on sales team, I'm like, why aren't y'all closing?
Yep.
But now I understand the other person that's on the other line, the objections, and I'm able to train and understand the things that they're going through.
100%.
Yeah. So for you, can you give us an example of like a client that just always comes to mind and like what you did for them and kind of what they're announced? Because you got the wall.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Like just throw one out there. Like.
So I would probably say, man, I'll give you a couple. So one is Kristen. You might have seen Kristen on the internet, Kristen the Truth Jones.
Okay.
So Kristen, when Kristen and I first started working together, he was 12.
He was 12?
He was 12.
12 years old?
He was 12 years old.
Did his mom sign him up?
His mom signed him up.
Okay.
Well, no, this what happened. So I used to do this youth event here.
Yeah.
Every year, actually, right up the street, right off Martin Luther King at Jack's Memorial.
Okay.
So I used to do an event there every year for the youth.
Right.
And I saw him because he was already like a Les Brown public speaker, Les Brown certified speaker. He was doing his thing already.
Right.
But I saw him at the Power Networking Conference one time. And he had like the Gucci belt on, the Gucci low. So I'm like, this young dude got something going on. So me and his mom end up connecting afterwards. And I was like, hey, I do a youth event once a year. I want to get your son to come out and speak because I found that he did like stocks and stuff like that.
Right.
And I had E.T. coming to speak. So she was like, well, because they was living in Germany at the time.
Right.
She was like, if you can get him to meet, because I was like, what's the budget? What I need to get him down there? And she was like, well, if you can connect him with E.T., because he's always wanted to meet Eric Thomas.
Yeah.
That'll be worth me flying him in and all that. So I was like, bet, that's easy. I can make that happen.
Right.
So she flew him in, came down and spoke the whole 9 yards. A couple weeks later, he called me. When he texted me, it was like, hey, look, I want you to mentor me.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, cool. Because I know he had been mentored by Les Brown, all different guys, right? So I'm like, all right, this will be cool.
Right.
So we got on the phone. At this time, people had taught him how to do the $997 offer. Right. We weren't really working for him. And I was like, I can show you how to make that work, or we can go more premium price and you can charge $3,000 to $10,000 or more. So I was like, this is how it works. So I showed him both scenarios. And I was like, which one you want to do? And he was like, I want to do the 3,000 one. So I was like, bet. And then he was like, my goal is to make 100,000 by the time I turn 13.
Yeah.
So I was like, bet. So fast forward, he ended up making 103,000 by the time he turned 13. I think he's 16 now. He's a millionaire.
What did y'all do? Like how'd y'all get him his leads?
So his program was he was showing people how to invest in the stock market.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we created his program around at 3,000.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, and why I like sharing his story, when he first launched it, did a webinar. Right. He did the webinar. The whole time he didn't realize that he wasn't sharing his screen. So the screen was black the whole time.
He was
didn't
just
realize
talking.
He was just talking. And the screen was black.
Right.
But somebody ended up buying it for 3,000.
Dang.
And the screen was black.
Something about the senses when you're just hearing. You know,
and just
what I mean?
and that just speaks to the power of just implementation without it being perfect.
Right.
So he did that. total game changer. So I guess if I was to pick one, that would be that's the first one that popped into my head.
Got you. So I want to speak about just having an authentic brand, right? Because I feel like, in this age, especially now, there's so many people that are fabricating their stories and who they are.
Yeah.
When I read your story and it says you generated multi-million dollars in revenue for your business and all of that, right? Mm-hmm. And then you see like your look being very regular, right? Yeah. It never looks flashy. You still have your gold teeth. Yeah. Can you speak about that? Because I know that there's strategy involved behind that. Like most people go get veneers and all this stuff. Like just break that down.
So I think the biggest thing for me is like one thing that popped out to me is like, because I was in there with marketing, everybody wore suits. You had to wear suits. I didn't even own a suit then, but they told me I had to go get a suit. So I went and got two suits for $99. Yeah. And then I started doing like a blazer because I started seeing the guys who was making a little bit of money and they were marketing. They started doing blazer and like slacks and loafs or whatever. And then when I got into the online world, I used to do the shirt. I used to do videos with like a button down, all this different type of stuff. Yeah. But where I'm from, I used to rock like polos, cargos, hoodies, Air Force Ones. Yeah. So I thought I had to switch it up. I didn't realize that I could literally just be me, right? And then when I used to share my story, I never shared my story, right? Right. But when I started, one of my mentors actually, he suggested that I do it, and I was like, when I started sharing it, people were like resonating with it, right? People was like, I used to share like trap stories and trap lingo and all this different type of stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, man, people are realizing I got clients who are like doctors and lawyers and MBAs and all that. Yeah. And I'm like, man, they resonate with this. They actually like it. And I actually, even at one point, I thought that I was going to have to take the goals out, all this different type of stuff. Because I came in with tattoos, goals, the whole nine. Yeah. So I was like, are people going to resonate with it? Because like you said, when I started teaching the marketing stuff, it was all white guys teaching it. Right. So I was like, who's going to listen to me when they're used to listening to, the white guys teach it? But I found out that me just being me, that was my like secret weapon. Right. Because like one of my clients asked me, she was like, Marquel, what's the biggest piece of marketing psychology you've learned to help you become successful? And I was like, authenticity. Just me being me. It's like you and I, we can teach, like you said, me, you, Marcus, we do similar things, right? Right. Just differently. But even we could do the same exact thing. Yeah. But because how you show up, how I show up, how Marcus show up. Yeah. Some people gonna resonate with me. Some people gonna resonate with you. Some people gonna resonate with Marcus. Exactly. Right? Just because who we are. Now imagine me trying to be like Marcus. Right. Or Marcus trying to be like you. It ain't gonna work.
We all got our different sauce.
We all got our own different sauce. And then we show up just who we are 100%. Like got you. You have no competition when you're you authentically, because can't nobody beat you.
Got you. How would you fold that into just people with having the fear of content? Like you've always posted a lot of content, right? And most people are, and I've suffered from it all the time. You post something, you like, delete. Yeah. They ain't hit. Like, how do you help clients like get over that? Because you post 3 times a day. Mm-hmm. So
I think the biggest thing to understand is that people think that people want us to be perfect. Right. People actually don't want us to be perfect. People want to see the flaws because then they can resonate with you. Like if your stuff is like so put together, you're so perfect, you can't resonate with them. Right. So like for example, if I was to hire a marriage coach, right, I don't want to have a marriage coach whose marriage always been perfect. I want to hire a marriage coach. They done had some issues. They argue every now and then. They had some. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm looking at. I don't want to hire a business coach who's always won in business. Right. I want to hire a business coach who done took some losses. Facts. Because if I run into some challenges, like they ain't encountered on this because it's always been perfect for them. Right. So people want to see, wow, you're flawed just like me. Yeah. I can resonate with you. You get me.
He understands. Yeah, because I even know like what I've been saying throughout this whole time, when I'm taking my own sales calls, one of those things that really hits is I'll be like, yeah, man, like I'm literally just got done going through what you're going through. Mm-hmm. And I tell them the story of the referrals. And I'm like, I had to do this, so I know what you're upset about right now. And then they're just like, I want to work with him. Exactly. Because he's like me. He understands it. He 100%. Knows he has the solution to that problem. 100%. You know what I'm saying? 100%. So in your space, like I said, you've been in the game for a minute, right? Mm-hmm. What excites you about the space now or keeps you going besides just more sales, more sales, more sales. Because you've been in it so long.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing that excites me, man, is the success stories. Like, that's the thing that gets me excited, right? Hearing. So, for example, I had a client message me on Voxer earlier today, and she was like, I did $1 million day. And that's been her biggest goal.
$1 million day.
She did $1 million, right? And when we first started working together, she was doing like $30,000, $50,000 a month, depending on the month, but it was like brute force, hustle and grind. So she told me the other day, this was a couple months ago, she was like, I'm at $400,000 a month. And she was like, and I only work 3 hours a day now. And she was like, at this time, she had missed all her son's basketball games. She didn't really have time to go out and play with her younger son because she was working, right? Even when she came on as a client, she had just had her baby, right? She was a workhorse. I'm like making it happen. I was super inspired. I was like, okay, we put some systems in place. I helped her put some stuff in place. We did some things. And now she like, I'm at $400,000 a month. I work 3 days a week. I'm at all my kids' graduations. I'm at all the games. I get to go outside and play with my 3-year-old. That's the real stuff, right? And then she messaged me this morning and was like, I hit that $1 million a day.
Jeez.
Right? So it's like, that's the stuff that gets me excited. I had another client. She hit me. She'd been doing her masterclass. And she was like, we started bumping up her ad spend. And she was like, I got 24 people to schedule a call. And I'm like, bet. And she was like, I had my first 8 calls, nobody enrolled.
Dang.
And she was like, she was discouraged. I could just tell through her text. And I was like, well, it's just 8 calls. I was like, let's give it a minute. Because it only take you 1 or 2 calls, but now your conversion percentage back where it's supposed to be, right?
Right.
So I'm like, give it a minute. She texted me back a little while later. She was like, I just had a call. Somebody paid $10,000 in full. Jeez. I was like, see, I told you. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you got to give it a little time. So it's the success stories that really get.
That's good too, because a lot of people are always looking at other people, and they're like, why am I not there? Yep. You know what I'm saying? They're always trying to figure out like, this should have happened just because I paid you.
Yep.
How do you deal with that?
So people got to understand, like, you have to do the work. Right. Like, it's no amount of money that you can spend to not have to do the work.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like, they can come to you, they can pay you to build a funnel, run the traffic for them, all that, but it's still work that they have to be done. It's no way around it, right? So it's like, if I sense that somebody think that if they pay me, they're passing on all the onus.
Right.
I immediately make sure I clarify, like, hey, I just want to be very clear.
Right.
Right. Here's our job.
Right.
However, here's your job as well. This is a partnership.
Right.
Right. So that's why even with our program, we don't do a coaching program. We do a partner program. It's like, hey, we partner with you.
So you do more done with you than done for you.
Yeah, super hands-on, done with you. A lot of stuff is done for them already.
How do you explain that to them? Because I feel like in my agency, I'll present it, and I guess these are probably some of my earlier clients. Like, we got done with you, done for you, right? But then done with you kind of feels like they need that same done for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I expected this, and it's like.
So a lot of stuff with our stuff is like, that's why it's more of a partnership program, because like a lot of ours, everything is pretty much done for them. Right. However, we still got to customize it for your business.
Exactly.
Right. So it ain't like we're working with all restaurants. Or I see some people who work with only trainers. They give them the ads, they give them this, they give them that. Right. But even then, you still got to do some stuff. Right. So it's like, our thing is like, hey, we're doing it all with you. Right. Because number one, I want to empower you. Right. So I want you to know what's working. So let's say, for example, you hire somebody, they do all this stuff for you. We see it all the time. People come to us and say they didn't get somebody $35,000 to build this thing out for them. They don't even know how to log into it. Right. So it's like, they needed to change something. Now they got to wait a week before they can get the thing fixed. When they could, if they was empowered a little more, they can go in, they can change the color of the button if they wanted to. Gotcha. But it's like, they was like, well, it's going to take me a week to change the color of the button. Or it's going to take me a week to change the date on the landing page. And it's like, well, if you're empowered to at least have a basic understanding, now you can be in control of your business. And when you hire somebody to do stuff for you, you got a better understanding of what you actually should
What
get.
systems do you kind of use for your clients? Is it like a main system, or is it kind of like they can go either way? Because my people may be like, I'm Go High Level, I'm ClickFunnels, I'm Kartra, whatever. Does that matter for you?
No, it doesn't matter. I tell people all the time, like, the tool is a slave to the strategy. So the strategy is a slave to the tool. So like, whatever tool you like, it's cool.
Okay. Yeah. That's dope though. So how do people tap in with you and rock with you? If they're like, yo, and what is the main problem that they probably have when they need to tap in with you?
So typically their main problem is they know they're brilliant. They know they're great at what they do.
Okay.
They know they're elite. They just want to get in front of more people. They want to attract more people to them so they can actually become clients.
So it's bigger than ads.
It's much bigger than. So I'm glad you said. So ads are, I tell people all the time, ads aren't the strategy.
Right.
Ads are a part of the strategy.
Right.
It's like a funnel isn't the strategy. Like some people think, well, I got a funnel.
Yep.
Or they're like, well, I got ClickFunnels. I think I should be good. It's like, no, that's a tool, right? So you got to be able to take the ads. You got to be able to take the emails. You got to be able to take the funnel pieces. You got to be able to take all of this. And now you got to turn this into a whole client attraction system, right? So I tell people all the time, to me, the funnels, like the internet made funnels pages.
Right.
Right. I tell people all the time, the pages are part of the funnel.
Right.
But like, for example, if somebody watch your podcast, when somebody's watching your podcast, let's say they just stumbled across your podcast.
Right.
Before they go to a link, like they're already in your funnel.
Right.
Because they're watching your podcast, right?
Right.
So they're at their awareness level. Then they start listening a little bit more. Now they're interested. They like what you're talking about. So now they're on the second level of that funnel.
Right.
And then when you say, hey, if you want to go deeper with me, go to xyz.com.
Right.
Then they go to the third level of engagement.
Right.
And then they going through the process. But they took the third level to get to the thing. Just like when old school direct response marketing,
right.
It wasn't no pages. It's like you get a letter in the mail. You got to cut this piece of the letter off. You got to write it. You got to send it back. You're in the funnel at that particular point. So I tell people like you gotta have all the pieces, which makes up the client attraction system. So you can take somebody from a stranger to clicking on something to being, nurtured, indoctrinated, going through a process to where they show up, ready to give you money.
I like that you said all of the pieces.
You gotta have all the pieces.
People ask me, they're like, I'll be on the phone with them, and they'll be like, yeah, it's just time that I get a funnel because I don't want to do anything no more. I'm like,
they don't get it.
Disqualifier,
They
right?
don't get it.
But when you look at the top coaches, and then what I see now with having more people on my team, all pistons have to fire
everything
for that vehicle to get you to where you want to go.
Everything.
So you need different types of funnels sometimes for different types of people.
Yeah.
You need the organic to go with the paid ads, because the paid ads is just amplification. That's what a lot of people don't know.
Yep.
You can't just have the paid ads and nothing else. You know what I'm
100%.
saying? Because they're going to research you.
Yep.
But if they research you, let the ads be the top of funnel and your Instagram be middle of funnel.
Yep.
So now they're like, oh, he is an expert. I see what he's got going.
Yep.
And then they're clicking link in bio, this and that. Because we know people not buying just the first time.
Bingo. I tell people all the time, it's only 2% of the market is ready to do business right now, right? So
Right.
I look at the marketing process. It's like 3 phases, especially with ads, right? So it's casting the net. So it's like launching that first ad, throwing it out there. So that's like, people will call it top of the funnel. Then that phase 2 is like cultivation. So now they've seen your ad. Now you want to have some retargeting stuff, giving them more value. You want to have some content on your Instagram because people are going to go look you up, like you said.
Right.
So you want to have content. So now by the time they show up on the phone for phase 3, that's the conversion. When they show up, they're like, man, look, Tony, man, I don't watch 10 hours of your videos.
Right.
So they're reciting to you stuff they heard you in the videos.
Right.
And those be the ones finna sign up.
That's crazy that you said that, because when I look at the people that I did get on the phone with and they just paid, they already have said, bro, I've watched like 4 of your podcasts.
Yep.
So that means you've been indulging in long form content.
Yeah.
I've been watching you on Instagram. So to take that data for anyone watching and apply it to yourself, you have to look at your ads that same way. Like, yes, you had some people that bought from you, but why did they buy from you?
Yep.
Because they already been nurtured.
Exactly.
So we got to figure out how to nurture that lead in our own funnel in order to get them to become a buyer.
100%.
You see what I'm saying?
100%.
So it's like
100%. That's why a lot of times people don't understand, like, great marketing makes selling unnecessary, right? So it's like if you're on the phone having to hard sell on hard close people, your marketing system is broke. Your marketing is on point. People show up. They already like know that they're going to buy from you.
right.
When they get on the phone with you, because they've watched the content, they've been consuming the emails, they've been following you, they looking at your stories, they're watching your podcast. So now when they show up, they're like, all right, boom. So it kind of goes to when people say, well, people got to have 7 exposures to buy. Well, the beautiful thing with the internet is like people can get 7 exposures within an hour. They can see your ad, that's 1 exposure. They can go opt in, that's the 2nd exposure. They can get your email, they can book a call, that's the 3rd exposure. 4th exposure, they just got your your confirmation email. They go to your Instagram, they watch 3 videos. That's 7 exposure. Then now they end up, like now by the time they get to the call with you or somebody on your team, they like, I'm in because I feel like I know you.
With your business, how much of it is based on like new leads coming in versus just like you've been doing it so long of like versus your pipeline that's already full?
So I would say it's a mixture. If I was to pick a percentage, I'd probably say like 80-20, 80 like pipeline, right? Because again, most people aren't ready to do business. Like most people aren't ready. It's 2% of the market is ready to do business right now, right?
Yeah.
So if I was to draw this out, if I was to draw a circle and split it, right? If it's like a pie, 50% of the leads you generate are never gonna buy nothing.
Right.
They're just there for the free stuff, right? 15%, then you got 15%. They're gonna buy now. In between now and the next 90 days.
Right.
And the other 35%, they're going to buy from the next 90 days to like the next 3, 4, 5 years, right? So it's like we got people who become clients who are like, man, I've been following you 3 years.
Yeah.
I've been following you 5 years. I've been following you a year. I remember you was doing network marketing.
Yeah.
I see how this thing blowing up. I'm ready now, right?
Yeah.
And then you got some people like, look, I'm not even familiar with this stuff, but I'm in because they've been looking for something.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
So that's why you got to have that nurturing in place. Most people do marketing. Like they say ads don't work. They'll run an ad, people opt in, but they don't got any follow-up in place.
Yeah, I hate when people say that because they say ads don't work, but they don't have a system that allows it to work. Because the thing that we have to get out of is not the heyday when Facebook was the gold mine where you could spend $1 and make 10 for the most part.
Yeah.
Now what we have to understand is, because I see some of my clients, when they want to cut expenses, and they cut their marketing expense, the whole business goes down.
100%.
Because they weren't looking at all those leads, were allowing the email team to go crazy, the setter to be able to follow up with people, and then those people to turn to book calls, and then the closer to close them.
Yep.
See what I'm saying?
100%.
So, yeah. So this was a super exciting conversation for me. You know, I learned a lot. I hope the people learned a lot. What is like the last words that you want to give people that are interested in you and your client attraction system? And they're like, they kind of want to jump in and figure it out for themselves. Well, not figure it out for themselves, but work with you so it can work for them.
For sure. I'll probably say the fastest way, 2 ways, right? So it's number one, I would go to paidadplaybook.com. So you can go to paidadplaybook.com. That gives you our whole playbook, shows you how to get 50 to 100 leads a day, every single day. And it's for free. You get a bonus video with it. That's paidadplaybook.com. Sometimes we do these events. If we're doing one, by the time you see this, you can go to scalethesmartway.com. We typically do them virtual, so just scalethesmartway.com. But the fast way, if you're like, okay, I want to get more leads for my business, go to pay. I want to get more leads that convert into clients. Most importantly, go to paidadplaybook.com.
I like that because I remember seeing the paid ad playbook, and it's an actual playbook.
Yep, 100%.
So it's pretty dope. So yeah, anybody, I'm gonna put the link below if that's cool.
Okay, 100%.
Make sure y'all check out the paid ad playbook. Super dope. Marquell Russell, man, I've been seeing you for so long. He's dope, bro. I actually didn't even know we had the podcast today. So I saw you walk in. I thought it was super dope. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So check in with my guy if you need leads for your business and you want to scale your business. But I feel like it's even deeper than just leads.
It's way deeper than that.
It's like you help them put the offer together and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because for example, I mean, you know, man, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on ads if your offer sucks.
Yeah.
Right? If your
100%.
If somebody wanted to do one thing right now to drive more business, it's like fix your offer. A lot of people say, okay, well, I'm a fitness coach.
Yeah.
But that's not your offer though.
Yeah.
So like, what's your offer? So it's like, you got to fix the offer. You got to fix the messaging. You got to fix the system. Some people come to us and like, I just need to learn ads. I know everything else. But then we look at the offer, we look at the messaging. It's a mess. So you got to fix that because like you said, you got to have the whole system.
Right.
And everything complements each other.
And last thing too, just like you brought up the fitness guy, right? For everyone watching, another thing too is like, I know you guys want to run the funnels and ads first because it seems like the way out. But it really is about perfecting your offer because 100%. I remember I knew a fitness trainer and it was $500 a month for him, right? And you may say, dang, it's relative, but that may be expensive. But it was $500 a month and it comes with content. And that was like, wow. And that's how he was winning because he made his offer unique. So think about it this way. Yeah, you're going to go work out, but he's also got like the Sony FX3, which is a super good camera, recording you the whole time. And he's chopping it up into reels, sending it to you at the end of the day for you to post in your content. So now that 500 doesn't sound that bad, does it?
No, you're right.
So that's just something for everyone to work on. Is definitely perfect your offer before you spend money on ads. And then that's when you can work with Client Attraction University. Shout out to my guy, Marquell Russell. What's your IG, though?
So my IG is Marquell Russell. So anywhere on social media, MarquellRussell, Instagram. Tap in, shoot me a DM. Let me know you saw me on here.
We'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace.